somehow Keen turns into this just enormous Jax god from this fairly neutral 0-0-1 scoreline.
Yeah. And as these items come in, he is going to get to that stage. Like, that's just what Jax does. He does more with items than a lot of other champions. And so in the late game, Keen is going to be very, very difficult to take down. A lot of that having to do with the Grandmaster's Might being his ultimate, and that's going to make him very tanky whilst also just building damage. Now being able to head towards his Trinity Force, and once he has those couple of items first up, it's going to be very, very scary here for KT. But if they can play around him, if they can neutralize him, then it's going to be a different story. And we have our first Masterwork item here for On as well. The first ornament has been completed with that Forge Fire Cape. And so Soan is getting as much help as he possibly can as far as mitigating this Jax is concerned. But still does feel a bit inevitable that Keen is going to get to a point where he is very, very scary.
Yeah, I mean, as the game goes on, like you mentioned, it's just a matter of time. Obviously, the question is, will KT give that time? So far, they seem okay giving it. It hasn't really sped the timer up too much in favor of Keen, but now once Keen comes online, I think actually what Afrika Freaks might want is for KT to initiate onto them, because that would most likely mean that Tucson is off of aiming, and that will draw the attention for Keen to flank onto aiming, and then even if Tucson comes back, the ult's probably already been used.
Well, that's a good stun there onto aiming, who immediately cleanses it. Fly gets exhausted and now has to chrono break to get himself back. There's the ultimate to come out, but immediately they understand that they need to try and focus on Keen. Oh my god, aiming survives. The Ornn is going to sacrifice his life as well in the back line, but it is going to be KT that locks down the Infernal Drake and then trade 1-for-1, top for top.
All right, so not quite online yet. Also standing on top of the Equalizer for the full duration, probably was not so helpful.
Yeah, that's not what you want. You know, that's not the red carpet of, you know, famous people getting their photos taken. That's the red carpet of pain. You don't want that one.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well. But that's the idea, though, that we were talking about. It just wasn't the best timing and the best placement. I mean, Keen really didn't have an option to step away from it. It was either step away and, you know, get hit in the back of the head before you go down, or just try to get the kill. And he was close. But again, the power spike not quite there yet to more or less one-shot the Misfortune before Tucson's able to get a second heal off.
Yeah, and you can see exactly the value of picking up the cleanse here as well. So able to use that to get out of the way of Fly, forcing his ultimate out. That meant that he wasn't going to be able to close the gap again onto aiming, as we have a look at this one more time and see how it all went down.
Yeah, so Fly does get that good stun, but then cleanse comes out, the exhaust goes down, and Fly now just running for his life. And now Tucson actually saving his Summoner heal right before the end of that fight, and then able to get that Zuni's off on top to get the double heal going for aiming. Now, if only one of them were on cooldown, Jax gets that kill before he goes down. So he's close. He's close to that power spike they need. But so far, KT still able to play a little bit aggressive and not concerned too much about the Keen just yet.
Yeah, and you have to remember as well that if aiming isn't at full health, then he probably dies there,
true.
right? Like, Keen's not going to be able to grab that kill. He's very close to picking up that Trinity Force, unable to claim it after he died before, but maybe he'll be able to get it now on this back after clearing out a couple of minion waves. That is going to be a big power spike here, as yes, there it is. Trinity Force, Blade of the Ruined King, a very, very strong Jax now for the Afrika Freaks. And at 25 minutes, 236 CS, not bad at all for the top laner. Both of our 80 carries, though, about 20 and 30 CS ahead of the clock. Just the agriculturalism from these 80 carries, just fantastic. True farm boys. Love it.
You love to see it as a carry. And looking at the damage, of course, just the power of, I think, AoE ults coming through on the damage chart, right? The equalizer and the bullet time, of course, doing so much. And then if you look at the heals and the shields, it's really just to highlight what Yumi's been able to do, right? No one else is really able to do much on that front. But the heal plus shielding coming in for you.
Yep, Keen, not able to actually get too much work done onto Soan there, but we'll be able to take down the turret. And this is precisely what Keen's job is. Can he be a nuisance and take turrets whilst Soan is there watching? That's going to be the way. And now that he has his Trinity Force, he's one step closer to doing exactly that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and Kian also forcing just, full armor items onto Sohan, just so he can stay alive when he has to combat that split push, I think says a lot. I don't think that's going to really open anything up for Fly to assassinate an Ornn or anything like that, but it does speak a lot about the itemization choices and the order that Sohan's had to pick, just to stand his ground if Jax is pushing.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that Jax does a lot of mixed damage, so I actually hate the fact that he picked up the Iceborne Gauntlet. I would have loved to have seen the Abyssal Mask, just because it does upgrade so much better than the Iceborne Gauntlet, but that's all right. Frozen Fist is a cool item.
Now that you mention it, because I was already hesitant on the upgrade of the Frozen Fist, but now that you reminded me, yeah, that does seem like a actually pretty terrible choice.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And Ninja Tabi was actually picked up by Keen. I don't mind that. You'd think that against Sohan's Ornn with so much CC, you'd want to go for something like Merc Treads, but it's mostly knockups. You're not going to mitigate that with tenacity. And so you may as well just have the Ninja Tabi to try and assassinate aiming a little bit more effectively, as he's made it in for a fantastic flank. But aiming does have the cleanse once again. Equalizer goes down, and Keen has to leap strike his way out. But the Ornhorn's going to be there to try and keep them in position. Good avoidance by both Fly and Spirit, as Bono dives on forward. Massive knockups there as the Chains of Corruption do land. But there's the Cataclysm onto 4 members. Bono is going to go down, but the bullet time over 3 is huge. And now aiming, kiting out Fly. And Keen also struggling. Sohan goes golden, and it's a double kill for the Misfortune. Aiming is on point here today. Maybe not in game number 2, but here in game number 3 where it counts. He's certainly getting the work done as Blast Cone, able to be utilized in the end as Fly gonna get slowed down by the Make It Rain. Time Winder avoided there by aiming, but he's running so damn fast. He has a parallel convergence, but he's still going to be able to pick up that kill. An unofficial triple as the Infernal Drake is live, and that is Infernal Soul going over to KT after that one team fight.
Yeah, I mean, Fly did everything in his power to try to stay alive, but Keen was a bit too far ahead of the rest of the team, right? It was really just Fly and Keen, and so if you don't get the perfect jump onto aiming at that point, you're really left out on an island on your own as that Jax. We watch here again, the coordination between Fly and Keen was good. The rest of the team not so much, especially Spirit falling so far behind, the Rom not able to catch up. And like you mentioned, Atlas, that cleanse coming in once again, Amy actually safe behind the wall. And now they're able to try to chase through. The Orno doesn't hit, but it does split the team. So Freak of Freaks now caught out once again. Bono correctly identifies that, jumps onto Spirit, and we actually see the stopwatch coming out for aiming to avoid getting shut down after that Chain of Corruption. Without that stopwatch, that's actually a good turnaround from the Freaks. But again, Keen just wasn't able to do anything, so he has to just start beating down on the Ornn, who has so much defense built up, on top of his own stopwatch as well. And then aiming is able to clean up the fight, and of course, Fly going on a merry-go-round around his own jungle, not able to survive. Definitely play that, I would say, to his best ability. It was just, you're up against a Yuumi and a Misfortune.
Yeah, and thankfully for aiming, he was able to get the auto attack off before the stun actually registered from Fly, because with the parallel convergence sitting there, you'd expect that after he pops out from stasis, you'd immediately proc that stun before the auto attack was potentially possible, and maybe that goose chase is going to continue. But unfortunately for him, not going to be the case, and the auto went into the air before the stun registered. 1,000 gold is approximately the lead here for KT, but you're having a look at those Drakes and you're wondering whether there's any chance for KT right now. Oh, sorry, for Afrika right now. It's getting late, guys. I apologize.
The Infernal Soul, of course, locked in for KT with the 3 Infernal Drakes as well. And, just a cheeky little first Ocean Drake to boot. The stat line there for themselves, and aiming's feeling really good about the Drakes they've picked up. I mean, this is so solid for what the Misfortune wants. I mean, just all that extra damage, and then you have the Soul to boot. And they're already a very AoE focused, group everyone up on the side of the Freak of Freaks, funnel them in. Now you have the Soul. Now you have the combos coming in from Rumble and Misfortune. I don't really see an answer. Again, the only answer is if Keen's able to get a perfect flank onto Misfortune. But even then, at this stage in the game, with that QSS,
well, there's a big Cataclysm. The Equalizer comes down. Bullet time is paired with it, and Spirit eviscerated one more time. Oh my, I feel like they save 3 ults for Spirit almost every time they see him. But this is going to mean Baron control for KT and no smite in order to try and challenge.
Yeah, Kian is going to preemptively teleport to try to do something, but I'm not sure what more they can do. Like you said, the smite's not there, so if they're going in, it has to be for a fight, but of course Sohan's coming in as well, so it's a 5v4.
Yep, KT are going to stop the damage on the Baron as there's the Ornhorn. Fair bit of CC available, but aiming's been jumped on by Keen once again, and this time he's able to take down the Misfortune. The Ornn buys some time, but the damage has been done, and Keen gets another round of his Counter-Strike. Now KT, it's a 3 versus 3 as Jelly is very, very low. There's the equalizer. Jelly gets the big shield, but it's not going to be enough to mitigate that damage as now Mystic gets exhausted. Kuro, he's super important in this fight as Spirit finally making his way back in. But the Baron is going to be stopped, and now maybe it's going to be a Freaker's turn to start it up.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is they stopped the Baron. They're going to see the teleport coming in for a Freaker Freaks, and as we see them trying to burst this down, Aiming not able to survive that fight, didn't use the QSS, didn't really have a need for it. At that point, it was really just the damage. We're going to see Kuro try to contest this a little bit.
Yeah, the last chapter is actually available here, and it's going to be utilized now by Tucson as
Spirit.
A lot of damage. Kuro not going to be able to find it as Spirit down very, very low, but he is going to survive, and the Baron is consumed. King's Tribute gives him a whole bunch of his health back, and unfortunately, Kuro and Tucson threw their lives away.
Yeah, and I want to bring attention to Fly. I mean, what we saw in Game 1, we're no longer seeing after that great Game 2 on the Syndra. He's playing this Echo so well and just kind of knowing his limits going in and then backing out. We saw that when they were trying to chase through his jungle as well. So let's watch this fight again. I mean, it looks like KT should be able to win it outright, but Freaker Freaks, they avoid jumping all into the pit, and they actually force KT to break out of it, which makes Aiming back out. Uses the cleanse very well, but afterwards it's just straight damage coming in from Keen, and Keen draws out enough time, like you said, gets the second Counter-Strike as well for another stun. And just watch Fly and Mystic here. Jelly goes in a little too far ahead, of course, but they dodge out of the Equalizer, and they determine that they're going in for another kill. As Mystic gets exhausted, Fly jumps in, and then makes a correct call to back out once again, keeping himself alive and Mystic as they go for this Baron. And Kuro, I mean, he tried with the combination from Yuumi, but of course Equalizer had already been used. They're unfortunately not able to burst down Spirit. I think that was the goal, to try to burst him down and maybe go for a steal, but it's going to go in favor of a Freaker Freeze.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that flash forward was from Kuro as well. It meant that his Flame Spitter didn't do damage to the 2 other people that were there. And I feel like a lot of these KT players are getting a little bit blindsided by a Spirit. Oh, pardon me, but there is going to be an ultimate flying forward here as the Ornhorn is blown. Mystic does have a lot of shielding, a lot of heals there as well, as the Ornn is going to be the first to go down. Aiming, trying to chase after the Freaker Freaks, but slowed down by that Glacial Fission. Not enough, because my god, he moves so damn fast. His boots were indeed made for walking. Chova? Or made for running, sprinting. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure what Misfortune does, but she goes real fast.
Strutting across.
Yeah, I think strutting is probably it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this Misfortune pick just combined with different combinations of speed buffs to mitigate the fact that they don't have any other mobility other than just pure movement speed. And again, that we're seeing if the Jax isn't able to shut down Aiming, things are not looking so good for a Freaker Freaks. I mean, they lost, KT lost Sohan, but they were still able to chase through, do so much damage prior to try to clean up a kill. So the Freaker Freaks really need to make sure that they have flanks ready to go, which means they need to win this Vision fight and also not get caught out, as Fly almost did just now in their own jungle.
Yep, Sohan has respawned, is making his way towards this Elder Drake. It hasn't been started yet, but you can see that KT do want it. If it's going to be available, Sohan picks up the minion wave towards the bot side, is aiming up front, and you can see Keen not actually wanting to take that fight, as Mystic was a little bit too far away. Parallel convergence, not going to be able to find any stuns as aiming gets underneath his own turret. It is still a very dicey scenario, as a Freaker still have some power here, but they weren't able to utilize the Baron at all. I mean, the outer turret mid lane is still standing, as the Baron's going to be up again in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, so a bit wasted. I mean, quite frankly, right, they were kind of forced to take it away from KT in some sense, but it does show that KT is still obviously the dominant team in terms of what they've been able to accomplish as a in those team fights, especially with that soul. But this Elder Dragon, if it goes to KT, these team fights are suddenly going to end so early, just with what damage we've seen coming in from the bullet time alone against the members of Afrika Freaks. Now, the Freaks need one of their abilities, whether it's the Convergence coming out from Echo, whether it's the Pillar coming out from Trundle, to split the team of KT so that Keen can go in alone onto aiming. But right now, Kuro looking out for that flank.
Yeah, misses everything, but still is going to spot Keen out on his way back in. The Elder Drake is going to be picked up by the Afrika Freaks, but it looks like KT didn't want to actually go for this one. We're just in the true River Ram scenario. He's aiming, clearing out vision where he can find it. Feels like a bit of a stalemate here, as you can see KT losing minion waves on the top side of the map as well. Fly back into the mid lane, doesn't have teleport, but he's pretty swift on this Echo. And the Elder Drake going to go back to sleep. Didn't like getting smacked around there for a little bit, but is now able to get back up to full health. He'll be fine. As the Zhonya's Paradox completed here for Kuro. Fly in trouble. Not going to get stunned though. Oh man, that was close. But the final chapter is not actually going to be the last one. I think there's a next book coming after that.
Yeah, that was very close. Had Fly gotten cut out there, I think that would have meant the Elder Drake for KT. But really, at the end of the day, it's KT's choice on how they want to dictate this Drake. Because I think Afrika Freaks are more concerned about making sure KT doesn't get it in the current state of the game. And so KT, they have to try to get a pick prior. Keen is poised for a flank a little bit far away.
Yeah, he's walking over a control ward as well, so KT knows exactly where he's coming from. Plus, he's been trying to do this the entire game. So it wouldn't be too much of a surprise if they do see a Jax coming in from behind. But he's going to start the Elder Drake by himself, and Spirit now down very, very low. Good Unbreakable there from Jelly just to deny the call of the Forge God. You can see Keen is going to back away from the Elder Drake. I think soloing it as a 1, 3, and 2 Jax at 38 minutes, despite the fact that he does have some items, is not going to be something that is going to be a very swift action.
Yeah,
but not a lot of vision on that area.
The starting part was a little weird, because even if he gets it, it was going to take a little while. And we're still going to see him start it for now. I think just waiting for his team to catch up, but
there is a ward in this pit, and I don't think they saw it. So that's where the problems are going to arise, as ultimates almost back off cooldown here for KT. Call of the Forge God. We'll see whether Sohan can actually make that one work out without Jelly just blocking it before it can get any value. We're close to 6 items for Mystic, but we are officially 6 items for aiming. He just finished his Mercurial Scimitar, and now he's looking for Jelly. Another final chapter does come in. There's the Cataclysm into the backline all the time. The Fly across as well as Fly gets the stun, but it's just not enough. Aiming's got too many he's got too many cleanses this time around, and there's the knock-up. The GA is being procced as Sohan straight up fumbles his ultimate. It's not what you want to see, but the rest of the team fight's certainly working out in favor of KT. It looks like Afrika have finally collapsed.
Yeah, I understand that Keen needs that flank, but then he needs to stick around, either, go back and come back with some tools to clear vision or something, and he just decides to branch off once again to try to put some pressure on the bottom side of the map. But it's been very clear, I think, to both teams that KT has no intention of backing off from one of these objectives, and it looks like they're just going to try to push for the win, which they totally could.
Yep, Nexus turret number 1 is going down very low. Gargoyle Stoneplate not seeming like it's doing anything there for Spirit, who goes golden just to await his own demise, as now Mystic will get 1 kill. Equalizer from beyond the grave, looking to try and take down Mystic, but it doesn't matter. The Nexus is going to fall first, and the winning streak is alive for KT as they move to 7 in a row. It was a tough one, but they get there in the end.
Yeah, I mean, again, showcasing that they've been on this winning streak for a reason. Again, not clean and perfect games, definitely not in Game 2, and not in Game 3 either, but I think they recognized the mistakes they were having in that middle part of the game that we mentioned, where they seemed a little bit off track, and just gathering themselves to really focus on one objective.
Yeah, really clean stuff, and once again, I do need to just shout out aiming. This guy is not the same player that he was in 2019 or 2018. He's just looking so much better. Like, this is the guy that was benched for Kramer, and Kramer is sort of a veteran of the scene, of course. You might remember him, Chobra, but Kramer went over to the LPL. He's actually performing very well at this stage, but that was on an Afrika Freaks that was struggling, and it was showing that Aiming and Kramer were both sort of 80 carries that were a tier below the top of the LCK. Aiming is really making a name for himself here in the 2020 season. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah, and watch this. Just doesn't get scared of Fly jumping in with the stun either, because he has the cleanse, he has the QSS, he's got the heal from Yuumi, he's got the zoomies from Yuumi, and able to QSS the Jax stun, puts the exhaust down on Jax. I mean, Aiming had so much survivability ready to go, both on himself and his team, that it just didn't matter. I mean, I've never seen Misfortunes just be so confident in full channeling their bullet time, even though an assassin is literally on top of them.
Yeah, he was just standing there. I had a little bit of a giggle there at Sowan, who missed returning his ram, wasn't able to hit the high five. You know, it's one of those moments where you're like, high five, dude, and you guys both just straight up missed. That was exactly what he was experiencing on the Ornn, but it doesn't matter. A win's a win. And look, I guess we're all feeling a little bit tight here at 11:20 on in Korean time after starting at 3 p.m. My God, we've been live for a long time.
Yes, it's been a while since I've had to watch League of Legends for this long.
This is it's a marathon, not a sprint. Tell you that much. And after 3 days, my God, I am losing my mind.
Yeah.
But we made it through, and it's been fantastic having you, having Wadid as well. This has been a really fun week. I do love casting with LS, but sometimes a bit of variety is always a good thing. As we have a look at some of these highlights here. The equalizer that Keen was stepping on, he was posing for the camera. That's not what you really want to be doing when you're burning to death at the same time.
Yeah, again, KT, not the most perfect game, but they're able to make sure that they keep their objectives alive, which was Aiming at the end of the day. And Keen continuing to not be able to really do much. Kuro, of course, standing up front and actually continues to zone out. Mystic eventually will go down and pay for that, but that's given Aiming so much time to clear out the front line of Afrika Freaks. So I think KT, now my only concern is this seems to be their only mode, is all in on Aiming. So far it's worked out. We'll see if anyone's able to crack that system against them, but Aiming is relentless in all of his pursuits.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of teams actually just be straight up built around 80 carries, right? I mean, you look at RNG over in the LPL, like playing around Uzi for so many years, things like that. Like, it does work out, as well as, you know, Jin Air when they were able to win some of the games. It was all about Teddy. Not so much the same case for Teddy on T1, because there's that Faker guy being pretty good in the mid lane, but a lot of their games recently have been about Teddy. I think 80 carry really is coming into their own as just a role in general, as far as where the spotlight is in League of Legends at the moment. And thankfully for KT, Aiming is rising to the occasion right when it matters most. It's really, really good to see. This wasn't so much when it comes to Tucson and Kuro, both of them old teammates and probably having some playful banter after that particular moment.
Yeah, I'm very sure of that. Again, it wasn't the best of games for KT, but I think Aiming had his eye on the prize. And again, from the side of Afrika Freaks, I think if you're taking a silver lining out of this, it's that I think Fly has showcased a much better. We're going to see that Ornult again. That's the only thing I'm going to see now if I ever see this.
I know, right?
The Ram just running right past Ornn. But I think Fly's been showcasing a little bit of a up and up on his side.
Kuro did so much damage. My God.
Yeah. Still staying ahead of that Aiming who was just chasing down kills. But I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed with Keen today. Just overall in all the games. Didn't really have